Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. My name is Taco, and this is something to talk about. And this is the Let's Talk About the Difference, where I discuss the difference between A Song of Ice and Characters book version and the show version. So, yeah, let's just go. Ha! Welcome to something to talk about. My name is Taco, and I don't know why I had to yell at you there. We are covering the first character I've ever covered from the House of the Dragon, the Dragon House show, and yeah, we're gonna cover Lyman Beesbury. I promise. That's the only time I'm gonna say Beesbury like that. I know that's Glidus's thing, but I love Glidus, and I really haven't been able to say Lyman Beesbury the same ever since he started saying it like that. Bees. Okay, I'm done. So if you've never been here before, I cover A Song of Ice and Fire characters, and I also do some other Song of Ice and Fire content. And this is the series that I'm trying to get back into, where I'm covering the difference between the book counterpart and the show counterpart. And I mean, House of the Dragoons, House of the Dragoon is coming back. I don't know, soon, right? Maybe it's out already. I don't know. And I figured I'd cover a character from season 1 of that. And since this character didn't make it out of season 1, spoilers, it's a perfect character to cover. And his death is very different, right? It's very his death is complicated. So heavy spoilers for House of the Dragon. Is that the name of it? House of Dragons, House of the Dragon. When I know what it's called. When this, the ending of that first season. Spoilers. Don't go on. So, yeah. So let's cover the show version first, and then we'll move right into the book. And yeah, spoilers. If you don't know how that season ends and you want to watch it, and you don't know what happens to Lyman, I already pretty much spoiled it. But get out of here. All right, let's go. So this is Treason, the show. In the television adaptation of House of the Dragon, Lyman is portrayed by Bill Patterson, and very well. I do like Bill Patterson in this role. I've been following his career. Not really. We see the old lord throughout the first season and all the small council scenes and like around, right? But of course, the most important scene is the Green Council in second to last episode. They get called. All of the small council gets called and informed of the death of Viserys, who had succumbed to his long illness and apparently declared with his last breath he wished for Aegon to succeed him. Bullshit. Which the rest of the small council take as support for their until now secret plans to crown Aegon regardless. They were just going to do it. Lyman is mad. Lyman is and speaks up. Lyman is against it and he speaks up against it, remaining firm in his convictions, pointing out that hundreds of lords and landed knights swore fealty to Rhaenyra 20 years prior for Lord, and then just for Lord Tyland and Jasper to dismiss this, pointing out that most of those people have died 20 years ago, and that Viserys has changed his mind. So yeah, I got one more slide, right? So this is, like I said, he's like throughout the whole first season. He's kind of there in the background. He's the old guy, right? But this is like his moment to shine. The Green Council. How does it end? Not well. Sit down. Lyman states that as a man of 76 years of age, wow, he knew Viserys longer and better than any of them. He rallies further, accusing them of seizure, theft, and treason before Grand Maester Orwell advises him, to him to mind what he says. Ignoring this, because Lyman don't care, Lyman presses on by pointing out that Viserys was well. You see, did you watch the last episode, dude? He didn't look well. Okay, well, for a man who's falling apart, he was doing okay. The previous night by all accounts. All but accusing the Greens of having murdered him. Okay, buddy, calm down. As he begins to firmly state his opposition for their plots, Sir Kristen Cole forcibly grabs the elderly lord and shoves him down, intending to make sure he returns to his seat. This instead causes Lyman's head to slam hard against his marble of office, puncturing his temple and killing the master of coin instantly. His body is then left silent, leaking blood all over the table, where it lies and remains. Members of the council continue to finalize their plot. You guys knew all that. If you're watching this, you already watched the show. But I just wanted that, believe it or not, I want to do a quick recap. I usually don't do this long of one, but since there are actually quite a lot of differences and it's really just the one scene, I wanted to kind of like bring those up through this one. And then we're going to move over like this is just a normal character video after this. So now we're going to get to the book, and then I'm going to cover everything that happens in the Fire and Blood Volume 1, and then go over to the differences. So let's just do it, man. Book, The Old Lord of Honeyholt. Lyman Beesbury was the Lord of Honeyholt and the head of House Beesbury during the reigns of old King Jaehaerys Targaryen and his grandson Viserys the First Targaryen. Lyman served as Master of Coin and Treasure and almost uninterrupted since the reign of the Old King. So I guess Daemon, the Rogue Prince, took over for like a day. You'd like had the office for a minute. Lyman went home. And then they're like, never mind, he's kind of crazy. And then Lyman came back. So that's why it's almost uninterrupted. He went and got his job back. Lyman never did all these crazy things. Well, I'm not Lyman, I'm Daemon. All right. Until the end of Viserys the First Targaryen's reign. Not very long after that. All right. Hey, we get to talk about House Beesbury. I love House Beesbury. I will be covering a member of House Beesbury eventually. He is on my list, my giant list of characters I'm covering all year that I still add to like a madman. I'm probably into 2025 at this point. 2024 just started, man. Not really. By the time I'm filming this, by the time you guys are seeing this, it's been more than 2 months. Wow. All right. Anyways, House Beesbury of Honeyholt is a minor noble house from the Reach, sworn to the High Towers. Honeyholt is located next to the Honeywine River. They love honey around here, which flows towards Old Town and the Whispering Sound. Is that a pun? Whispering Sound? All right. The Beesburys descended from the first men. They claim to have been founded by Ellen Eversweet, the daughter of legendary Garth the Greenhand. I'm going to go with Greenhand instead of Greenhand. Garth the Greenhand. All right. Their arms are 3 yellow beehives on a black pale over a partly black and yellow field. Their words do not appear in the books, but according to semi-canon sources, it is beware or sting. It's pretty cool words, actually. All right, let's do it. Master of Coin. Lyman took office as Master of Coin after Martin Tyrell. Though Martin was named a Master of Coin, it was likely that his duties were performed by his clever wife. Because, Tyrell man dumb. Tyrell man married good wife. Good wife do things. Tyrell man dumb. I think that's the stereotype that Martin Tyrell is going with. I'm also pretty dumb. And my wife is very clever. So maybe I'm Tyrell. Lyman started late in Jaehaerys' reign and was his third and final Master of Coin. He then held the office the entire reign of Viserys, except for that little bit, considered to be a capable man. He vowed to honor the claim of Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen, Viserys' daughter and preferred heir. Among Lyman, the council was Sir Otto Hightower, hand of the king, Grand Maester Orwell, Master of Laws, Jasper, Iron Rod Wild. Yeah, ladies, you know what I'm talking about. You don't. Maybe you do. I don't know. Master of Whispers, Lord Confessor, Larry Strong. Yeah, so he's not only the Master of Whispers, but he is the Lord Confessor, which means he tortured people. He tortured people a lot. He does a lot of torturing. He's a torturer. Where was I? Master of Ships, Thailand Lannister, and Lord Commander Kristen Cole. All right. All right, you guys ready, man? The Small Council. Upon the death of Viserys I, get right into what happened during the show, but now it's the book version. So I'm going to get more into it in like 2 slides. But if you guys haven't read Fire and Blood, so Fire and Blood is written for the most part from the point of view of one maester. And then, especially when it gets to Dance of the Dragons, that war, he couldn't really just like go out and say what happened because it's George. So he then decides to kind of give us 3 different narrators. So pretty much everything that House of the Dragon is based off of is like, we don't know which way it was, right? There was like 3 accounts of all of it. Like, until the show, we weren't sure what happened between Princess Rhaenyra and Kristen Cole. Did they have an affair? Did they not have an affair? Did they have an affair with a bunch of other people and it was a big crazy, sex party? We don't really know because Mushroom, the court fool, likes to tell a scandalous version, right? And then there was a maester. Here, let's just flip really quick so I don't get their names wrong. Orwell, yeah, who was like there a lot. Orwell, it has like kind of like, like a boring version because he's a maester. And then there was Septim Eustace, who like had a, different, like even a lamer, right? So like Eustace was like, everything was cool. And then Orwell was like, some things weren't cool. And Mushroom was like, everyone was banging. Mushroom. So what I'm about to get into, I will be talking about how there was 3 different accounts from those 3 people, but I just want you to know that the way that it was written was more about history, and it wasn't like this character does this and then it's like, we're not really sure. It's a history book, right? And then even it gets even murkier there you go, when it gets into House of Dragon, because then it got 3 narrators and you don't know who to trust. So Dance of the Dragon. So Small Council. Upon the death of Viserys I Targaryen, Queen Alicent, and Sir Christmas Cole, I can't help it, Glytis has ruined me. Sir Kristen Cole sent out the King's Guard to summon the Small Council members. During the gathering, Orwell opened the meeting by reviewing the customary task. Septon Eustace should be summoned to perform the last rites and pray for the king's soul. A raven must be sent to Dragonstone at once and inform Princess Rhaenyra of her father's passing. And then he continued. And the conversation quickly stirred towards Rhaenyra's coronation. But Serrato Hightower told those who had gathered that Prince Aegon the Elder would be crowned. So Orwell's like doing his job, right? Everyone sits down, and Orwell's like, all right, so, King died, long live the king and all that stuff. So we're going to need to tell his heir, and we're going to have to get Rhaenyra over here. And Otto goes, let me stop you right there, Orly. We're not doing any of that. You're going to crown Aegon. And everyone's like, yeah, sorry, Orwell, but we are. And Beesbury's like, what an outrage! All right, where was I? So Serrato Hightower still tells everyone that they're going to do Aegon the Elder instead. The discussion lasted near till dawn. According to Mushroom and Eustace, who were not there, they claim that only Lord Lyman Beesbury, the Master of Coin, insisted that Rhaenyra should be crowned as queen. Though Orwell claims he stood up for her too. Because Orwell kind of claims both sides. I think that he wrote all this stuff down later, and then since he doesn't really know how history is going to see everybody, he kind of writes himself out of like, well, I wasn't being a jerk. You probably were, Orwell. I don't trust you at all. I don't really trust anybody. The Green Council. Lyman reminded everyone about the vows hundreds of lords and knights have taken for Rhaenyra. See, this is the same thing as the show. Although, along with how her father had many years to change his heir, but never chose to. He always kept it as Rhaenyra. These points fell on stone ears. Several other council members countered Lyman. So Tywin Lannister argued that the oaths had been made to Rhaenyra in 105 AC and had not been made by them since it had been 24 years. So a lot like what he says in the show. Jasper Wilde mentioned that the old King Jerry twice chose a male heir over a female heir and her descendants. So yeah, he's like, they never choose dudes or choose girls. Like they always, like old King Jerry always went with, it's gonna be my firstborn son. Well, he died, but he has a daughter. Secondborn son. So he's even like, Targaryens don't go with women's. But of course, this one did. Why does it matter what old King Jerry said? I'm on your side, Lyman. Although I don't want what's about to happen to you to happen to me. And Otto argued that Rhaenyra was married to Prince Daemon, who would become the true ruler, and he's evil. Should Rhaenyra gain the crown? Both Hightowers argued that they, but not only Ellison's children would die, should Rhaenyra become queen. Grand Maester, but not only they, but also, Ellison's children would die. Both the Hightowers are like, dude, if Rhaenyra becomes queen, all us Hightowers are dead. And we like living. Grand Maester Orwell predicted a war, believing that Rhaenyra would never be willing to give up her birthright and that she had dragons at her disposal. It was reported that Larrys stayed silent during this debate. So Larry Strong, who was there, unlike in the show, he's like not saying anything. When Lyman declared that he was not willing to listen to people plotting to steal her crown, he attempted to leave. Lyman Beesbury's like, y'all are bugging. Bye. So he stood up. So let's see what happens. Does he get balled to death like in the show? We'll see. We don't know. 3 different tellings. I love this art, by the way. It shows all 3. It's great. Orwell claims that Lyman Beesbury was seized at the door by command of Otto Hightower and brought to the dungeons. He was locked in the black cells and later dies of a chill while waiting trial. So that's Maester Orwell. So the only person who was there claims he was just taken hostage. He got brought down to the cells, and then he later died because he was old and stuff. Right? Eustace, who wasn't there, tells it differently, claiming that Kristen forced Wyman back into his seat and opened his throat with a knife. All right. Mushroom had a similar version, but in this telling, Cole grabbed Lyman by the collar and tossed him out of a window to be impaled on the spikes of the dry moat. Brutal! So, if you guys don't know, there's like dry moats around Maker's Holdfast and other buildings in the Red Keep. There's just like a moat that doesn't have any water and they just have spikes. It's hardcore. And he thinks Mushroom says that Christy Colsey grabs Lyman and just tosses him onto these spikes out the window, which is really metal. Holy crap. Only after his death does Larry's Strong break his silence and suggest that they take a blood oath. I left that in because it's really eerie. And no one really talks about this whole blood oath thing because there isn't like a lot of like blood oaths in A Song of Ice and Fire. Maybe there is, and I'm just like kind of missing them. But a lot of times it's like, on your knees and swear, make an oath and swear it in front of the old gods. But there's a lot of people who are like, we're keeping the secret. Blood oath. Seems like some weird bloody magic. weird blood magic. If I were to guess, and Larry's is kind of weird like that. And also, I like that Larry's kind of waits until it all plays out. He doesn't say. There's a discussion all night, and he doesn't say anything the entire time. Everyone's like, Aegon, we're gonna crown Aegon, and Lyman's like, guys, we can't. And Larry's is like, we'll see. We'll see how this one ends. And then after Lyman is killed in some manner, he's like, I've always been Aegon. You guys know that. Let's cut our hands up, bros. So, and then, they don't make Queen Alicent cut her hand because she's a girl. That's actually in the book. It's funny. All right. So the differences. So a major difference was the fact that the rest of the council were already making plans in the show. Also, there is no Larrys in the council. And in the book, they seem like in the book, they all knew they were together, but it doesn't seem like it was a real plan. Yeah, like in the book, it doesn't really seem like they were full on conspiring. In the show, they so were. Like, that's a pretty major change. So Alicent's like, hey, Viserys said it's Aegon. And they're like, well, we've been making plans for years anyways. So guys, plan A. And everyone's like, really? It's like, yep. Freaking Jasper Wild, Tywin Lannister, like Otto, we all have plans. So that was a major change, which I kind of like. Like, why not? They were probably bored. Of course they made plans. Homeboys were freaking ready in this show. Age is a slight change. He is 80 in the book and 67 in the show. All right. Also, Kristen isn't Lord Commander in the show yet. So he is Lord Commander in the book, and he's actually part of the small council. He isn't just hanging out there, right? In the show, was it Westerling is still there, and he ends up taking his cloak off, and he's like, Harold Westerling. I should have had that plan. You guys will tell me if I'm wrong. But so he's there, but Kristen Cole's not Lord Commander yet, right? This other dude is. And the other guy takes his cloak off and pulls a Barristan Selmy before Barristan Selmy. So yeah, that's another big change. Where am I at? Yeah. So what of the three endings do you choose, right? So you have these three different endings. What does the show choose? Well, it's close to Eustace's telling, but instead of a knife, he breaks his head on the table ball thing. It does appear to be an accident for sure, but in the book, slashing his throat isn't an accident. Like, you don't accidentally slice somebody's throat, right? It was... I was hoping for dry moat, but I like the compromise. Although death by ball is kind of silly. It is. I'll stand by that. Death by ball is kind of silly. So that's kind of everything we had to cover. And I kind of wanted to bring up Lyman because I love the fact that he has kind of a choose your own ending in the book of we don't really know how he died. They all have the exact same ending. At the end, he's dead. Right? But is it they just put him in the cell and then he got a cough? Or it's no, Kristen Cole's Ska! And if that's not hardcore enough, he's Ska! Tosses him in and he dies, right? So I was really curious which one they go with. And they kind of dial it back a lot, right? Kristen still does it, but it seems like it's an accident. It's not super brutal. It's like a head smash, and his head kind of opens up on the ball, the head ball, the table ball, the council ball. But yeah, so they kind of dial it back, and it's still Kristen who did it, but it's not so violent, and they can say, well, he didn't mean to, right? So that's kind of it. That was my Lyman Beesbury video, and tell me, guys, what you think. And if you've never been here, if this is your first time finding my stuff and you're more interested in the show, check out the books. And also, I have hundreds of A Song of Ice and Fire characters that I've done deep dives on who've never made it into any of the show. This Let's Talk About the Difference is kind of a way that I get to talk about show characters and then at the end kind of compare them to the show. And this is the first time I've covered one from, House of the Dragon. I mostly have just done Game of Thrones characters after besides this, and I have more of those. And I have a bunch of other Song of Ice and Fire content. And if you even do a deeper dive on my channel, I got a lot of weird stuff too from a while back before I started doing Song of Ice and Fire stuff exclusively. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. This ended up being 25 minutes. All right. I got nothing else to say. I already thanked you guys multiple times. Have a good day. Peace.